Hello, and welcome to the MySpace podcast. I'm your host, Miley, and today I will be reviewing the book What Are the Odds by Madi, Leigh, or Leigh. I think it's Leigh. I'm not good with names or pronouncing words. Yeah. This is book number 1 of the Phil U series, I think. I don't remember, but I think so. Rating. I give this book a 6 out of 10. It was a cute book, and if you like books that don't really go deep into things, this is for you. But since it doesn't go deep into things, there's not really a lot of character development or really anything about the characters, so I don't really know what's going on with them. Like, I don't really have a lot with character stuff or with this plot / storyline. I don't know why I put setting down. That's not right. So, yeah. And then it also gets really annoying when they have sex once, and then it just keeps on happening, and it feels like every other chapter that they're having sex, and it's annoying for me. I'm like, I know, I don't need to see it. So yeah, it started feeling like it was like 20% of the book. Also, I knew it was gonna happen. I was also aware of what was gonna happen. I'm like, by the end of the book, I knew how the book was gonna end. POV. First person, and it switches between Grace and Levi's point of view, so you get both of them. That's also how you know that she's gonna end up with him. Also, I feel like it would have been cool if there was more of a fight between Levi and Riker. That would have been interesting. Genre. It's a romance, sports romance, mostly hockey, and it's an adult book. Now, to the plot / storyline. Also think I should mention that I do kind of have a headache, but it's okay. I'm working through it, and it's not that bad as it has been in other videos. Let's get started in this storyline, though. So there's Grace, who's a exchange student from Australia, and she's part of the swimming team. There's Levi, who's the captain of the ice hockey. Well, the hockey team. Ice hockey is also another. That's just, ice hockey is said so many times in this book by Grace that now I'm gonna accidentally refer to it as that, even though I usually just refer to it as hockey. Riker is the captain of the football team. And yeah, and the hockey and footballers do not get along. Anyways, so Grace, Levi, and Riker have a class together, and they have to end up doing a project together. So, those two captains don't get along. At one of their meetings, actually this is their first meeting for their project, Levi and Riker make a bet about which of the teams gets the gym for the rest of the year. And that bet is the person who wins is the person who gets Grace first. So basically they're supposed to seduce her in a way. So Levi, in all honesty, gets there first and starts hanging out with her first. However, he does quickly realize that he doesn't want this to be a part of the bet. And he doesn't want the bet anymore. He doesn't like that. So, but he doesn't tell her. So, yeah. And when he does try to end the bet, it doesn't really happen because Riker is kind of like, well, I like her too. And then there's a whole lot of stuff about it not being a bet. I mean, not being a game, I don't really know. So it kind of feels like it's still going on, but at the same time, it's not. Also, Grace starts hanging out with his friends more. His friends are also his roommates and are his teammates. Well, Levi's teammates. It's all about Levi, basically. There's nothing about Riker. And then whenever Levi and Grace do go out together, well, not really together, but they're like in the same place, there are always other people there. So like there's girls that surround Levi, and then with Grace it's usually Riker, and they both get jealous about it, but they don't say anything. But finally they do become exclusive, but they're not yet a couple, at least in Grace's eyes. Well, they're not yet boyfriend and girlfriend. And there's still the whole jealousy stuff. But then finally they do become a couple, and then there's kind of less of that jealousy. Still some on his side because of Riker, though. And like I was saying, Levi hates Riker and doesn't want him hanging around Grace, but he does trust her that nothing will happen between them. So yeah. I'm losing light. Grace, throughout this, is getting really close to his friends, and they become super close. So, yeah, she becomes super close with, like, everybody. She meets his family and everything. It takes him a while until he meets hers. Yeah, so everything's just good for about 85% of this book. Then, of course, the secret comes out. She gets kind of angry and goes back home to Australia, but then of course she comes back, and then happily ever after, Levi, she ends up with Levi. Of course, like we all know that's gonna happen. Grace next, so she's pretty level-headed. That's mentioned a bunch of times throughout this book. She doesn't really let other people dictate her. She just kind of does what she wants and doesn't really care about other people. She's from Australia, and she dresses in a lot of warmer clothing because she's not used to the temperature difference. She also has 2 older brothers who are in Australia. Her parents are also dead, but that's, like, never mentioned. It's mentioned, like, twice. She swims, but she doesn't plan on that being her future career. And then she ultimately has to end up deciding whether she wants to stay in America or return to Australia after graduation. That's also another thing. But also, that's also not spent a lot of time on either. Like, so, there's a lot of things that should have been spent more time on, but no time was spent on them. Levi, so he was more of a playboy until he met Grace, and then Grace was all he wanted. He wants to end up in the NHL. That's his dream, and he's already been drafted to a team. So, yeah, he fell hard for Grace. Yeah. There's not a lot to say, honestly. He's protective of her. His friends, so Will is his best friend. And one of his roommates, his other roommates are Trip and Ryan. Trip is like the funnier one of the group, and Ryan's basically an influencer and makes them do TikToks and everything, which is kind of weird. Like, I literally... There's a plane. I don't... Yeah, so Ryan's basically the influencer and makes them do a bunch of TikToks, and it's kind of crazy to the fact that any of them would do it. It was kind of weird. Riker, not a lot about him, honestly. He did like Grace, but not as much as Levi likes Grace. That's about it. Plays football. That's all you really know. Yeah, so spoilers next, I guess. So, this is just the ending. So, when she realizes what happened, when she's told by one of the girls who wants to get together with Levi, she gets angry at Levi and she goes back to Australia. She kind of makes a decision there that she's going to stay in America and her brothers are going to come visit her during like winter months in America and during Levi's off season. I believe, or maybe it was the other way around. I'm not really sure. Anyways, she comes back to America, and then she makes Levi and Wrecker play this game. It's like a revenge for what they did to her, and it's basically where the first one to find her before midnight wins her. Levi isn't happy about this, and he's also pretty hurt, but he plays the game because, he wants her. Riker does end up bowing out of the game because he's realized that Grace is in love with Levi, and he's like, well, I'm not gonna hurt her. And also, she wants Levi to find her. Like, she actually hid when she saw Riker. She's like, oh no. And then it's happily ever after for them. Epilogue. So she ends up becoming a swim instructor, and her brothers come over to visit because Levi's about to have a string of away games, and he doesn't want her to be alone, but also, like, it's her brothers. I forgot I was going to talk about that. So, yeah. Excuse me. There's not really a lot that happened in this book. I'm going to be completely honest. There's not. It was cute, but, like, it's not. This would be, like, you don't want anything deep, read the book. This book, yeah. That is about it. This is a short video. And also, it is super hot in here. I'm, like, burning up in this flannel. It's great. Next book. So, on the menu, maybe, I think it's called Mistborn. My cousin really wants me to try it, so I'm going to try it because he's angry that, I started reading a book before this one, and then I decided I didn't like it by like 4 or 5 chapters, and I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. And so I was telling my cousin, I was like, I chose a romance book, and he was like, and no, you should read it. I was like, I'll do that next. So I'm going to read it for him, see if I like it or not, and I may read all the books in this whole universe that there is. So yeah, anyways, that is it. Thank you for watching and listening, and have a good rest of your day, night, week, month, year, life. Thank you and goodbye.